Rod Blagojevich joining 10 others who were granted clemency overall, including former New York City Police Commissioner Bernie Kerik, former investment banker Mike Milken, known, of course, as the junk bond king. Let's bring in Guy Benson, a Fox News radio host, contributor, and a political editor for townhall.com. Guy, good morning to you.
Hey, Ed.
You hear the criticism of the president immediately. Some of that is reflexive, but practically no matter what he does. Do his critics not realize that criminal justice reform has been at the center of what he's been doing?
It's a huge part of his list of accomplishments, and we saw that Super Bowl ad, of course, touting the legislation that he signed into law. And I think overall, having some leniency and looking at commutations in certain pardons, I think that's the appropriate thing for a president to do for those who deserve it. I do want to say, Ed, I lived in Illinois, I lived in Chicago when all of the Blagojevich stuff went down, and it's hard to think of someone who is less deserving, in my opinion, of that type of grace than Blagojevich. When Rod Blagojevich ran for governor of Illinois, 3 of the previous 6 governors had gone to prison. So he ran as a reformer on ethics. Then he became the 4th of 7 governors of Illinois to go to prison. I read this morning it's the first day the sun has risen without a single Illinois governor in prison somewhere since 2007. Oh. He not only tried to sell a U.S. Senate seat, he shook down a children's hospital for political donations. He tried to get critical journalists fired from their job at the Chicago Tribune. This is someone who egregiously abused his office. And the president, I think, is doing a good thing overall on criminal justice reform. But, man, Blago is a tough one to swallow.
Well, no doubt about it. You're right. We were talking about that before the show. The racetrack owner that was allegedly shaken down. There were a lot of problems for Blagojevich. The president believes he served his time. And in terms of some of the other ones, he pointed out that folks paid their debt to society, and then he added a little twist. Listen to this.
I really rely on the recommendations of people that know them. We have Bernie Kerik, we have Mike Milken, who's gone around and done an incredible job for the world with all of his research on cancer, and he's done this, and he suffered greatly. He paid a big price. I haven't given it any thought.
So bottom line, my point being, Michael Milken, all of his work on cancer research, he's helping other people. The president points out, we've heard that before. But then on Roger Stone, he says, I haven't given it any thought. But the question really this morning is this now opening the door to Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, and others down the road?
Very well could be, right? And because he said over and over again how unfairly they've been treated. So it's hard for me to actually imagine that he's never at least entertained the thought of what that might look like when the moment comes. My guess is that moment might be after an election, but you never know. I think, Ed, where the president's critics overreach, and they always overreach, is with these arguments that I've seen popping up that, oh, look, here's President Trump just letting his rich, connected, white male supporters and friends and reality star compadres out of prison. And that's true if you ignore all the people who aren't those things that he's been commuting sentences for and pardoning. And I think to sort of erase and pretend like that side of it isn't happening at all, it's deliberate on some people's part, but it does not tell the whole story.
Like Alice Marie Johnson, who you sort of alluded to at the top, she was featured in that Super Bowl ad that you mentioned, doesn't fit the narrative of Bernie Sanders and other critics. Sanders yesterday tweeting, today, Trump granted clemency to tax cheats, Wall Street crooks, billionaires, and corrupt government officials. Meanwhile, thousands of poor and working class kids sit in jail for nonviolent drug convictions. This is what a broken and racist criminal justice system looks like. That's Bernie Sanders' claim. I talked to one of the friends, as a last point here, a friend of the president yesterday who was involved in one of these pardons being granted, who basically said this is really about the president feeling the opposite of what Sanders is saying, that there's 2 tiers of justice, and some of the president's friends and allies have gone to jail for what he considers to be relatively minor offenses, when you see Andy McCabe and others get away with what the president thinks is ridiculous behavior. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't hear anything from Bernie Sanders about, for example, I read a story, a Native American woman and mother who was incarcerated for a marijuana-related offense. who's now out and free. That didn't make it into the screed from Bernie Sanders. It's also hard to take anything Bernie Sanders says seriously. This is someone who went to the Soviet Union on his honeymoon and came back and lavished praise on a system that has no criminal justice really for anyone back when the Soviet Union existed. So these lectures are hard to take from a socialist like that from Vermont.
All right. Important points this morning from Guy Benson. We appreciate you starting us off.